What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here for the weekly Sunday video market recap, chit chat, news, catch up, whatever you want to call it. A lot of newsy stuff to talk about today. We'll definitely get into some charts and graphs, but let's just kind of dive right in. Big show weekend this weekend. Atlanta Culture Collision. Sad that I missed it. I'm recording this early Saturday afternoon. I heard Friday was a little slow. I talked to two different dealers that were set up there. Both did well, but just the traffic was down from the previous year. That being said, I checked in with both of them today, and I saw some videos and stuff, and they said today was packed. Absolutely packed. I know I went to the Canton show today, my local show. It was busy. It was probably the busiest I have honestly seen it in a year. Last month's was pretty busy. This month I thought was even busier than last month. I know a lot of people watched and attend that show and that set up at that show, so feel free to comment down below with how that show went for you. But I thought that the Canton show was really, really busy. I can usually tell when I pull in how the parking lot is, and I got there at 9:30, and I had to park pretty far back in the parking lot. And when I left, it was even busier. So local shows seem to be doing really well. Like I said, Atlanta, the report seemed to be that Friday was slower, but that Saturday was still really busy. February is going to be a little weird on the show circuit for me. I'm probably going to miss a couple of my local shows because I have some traveling to do. But I am planning on, as I talked about before, hitting Ships at the beginning of March, the Ship Shawana show in Indiana. Easy 4-hour drive. As long as the weather is good, I plan on being there. So those two local shows seem to be going strong. Football, basketball was moving. I talked to the one guy, said a lot of Pokemon stuff was moving. So we'll get the full report once that show kind of wraps up. So good to see that the show scene continues to go strong in the beginning of this year, especially the smaller local shows. I think this, we've talked about like the demise of card shows over the last year or so on the channel. The ones that I worry for are more the ones like Atlanta. These more larger regional, they're travel shows, but not quite travel shows. The small local shows are always going to be your small local shows. Those are always going to do pretty well. Foot traffic is going to vary depending on time of year and all that stuff. But most people coming to that show are people that live within 30 minutes of that venue. That stuff's not getting affected by higher travel costs and things like that as much as having to board a plane and go fly to Atlanta. I am sad that I missed the Culture Collision show. I did have a lot of fun in Atlanta last year. But it is what it is. On the grading front, a lot of little grading news this week. Nothing that kind of, I thought, deemed its own video, so I kind of just dumped it all into the beginning here. So we're going to play a little catch up on grading news off the top here. CSG has announced new pricing. It's really their old pricing slightly tweaked. The special pricing that they were running is kind of just locked in now. I think it's like 50 cents cheaper on the bulk rate. So bulk at $12 per card, economy at $15, and standard at $20. Anyone that's watched the channel knows I love the CSG slab. CSG cards don't resell great. To me, CSG, for me personally, and mileage may vary, for me is stuff, if I want something in my PC slabbed, I am sending it to CSG. Marvel stuff for CGC, that's a little bit of a different story. That stuff makes some sense over there. But on the CSG side of things, on the sports card side of things, if I want something slabbed for PC that I don't care about resale value on, that's probably where I'm going to send it. I really, to this day, I love their slabs. Probably the best slab, hands down. And pricing, very affordable. Turnaround times, very quick. If you're looking to grade to resale, I'm probably not going to CSG, at least right now. I would like to see their prices pick up. Do they? I don't know. I have no idea if they will or not. But from a PC perspective, love them for that side. PSA. Not necessarily any update, but just some chatter I've been seeing, and I will have some firsthand experience with this very quickly. A lot of social media chatter the last week or two about long delays in shipping once your grades pop. So essentially your grades are popping, you're finding out what you got. You can see the seller ready images that they have now because they're scanning every card. We'll get more into that in a second. And it's taking like 5 to 10 days for orders to ship out after your grades pop, which before, usually once your grades pop, within 24 to 48 hours, you'd have a tracking number. The speculation is what I mentioned earlier, because this one kind of snuck under the radar a little bit. PSA is now scanning every single card. When you click on a cert number from a recently submitted order, even if it's a $15 card order, you now have a scanned image of that card, kind of like SGC does. And I'm wondering if them rolling that out has kind of created a little bit of a backlog on the shipping end until they work things out. They also recently switched from USPS to FedEx at the beginning of the year. So I'm wondering if that's thrown a little wrench into things as well. Some processes had to change around, whatever. But there does seem to be some delays in shipping. I will give an update on my personal order. My order was arrived at PSA on 12/28. So basically exactly 1 month ago. It was checked into PSA on January 3rd. My grades popped Friday morning when I woke up, or Friday after late morning. My grades popped for that order. That was a $15 bulk order from the special. So basically exactly a month. You figure they got them on the 28th. I shipped them out a couple days before that. And it's now January 28th at time of recording. And we'll see how quickly I get them back in hand. If they ship out at the end of the week, you'd be looking at maybe like 5 weeks total door to door. Pretty good. From the check-in date at 1/3, you're still under 30 days, potentially, depending on how long the shipping comes back. That was an 18-card order. I did pretty well on it. I am pretty happy with the results of that order. No specific spoilers here. We'll get into it once the cards get back in hand. But that order went pretty well. I was very happy with how that order turned out. Couple duds, but I can't complain too much. That is mostly a baseball order. In fact, it might all be baseball now that I think about it. So a little PSA update for you there. Beckett. Beckett made a minor change. I think it was this week. Maybe it was the week before. They are getting rid of the white paper label for things that grade lower grades. Before, they used to use a white paper label instead of the silver label. Obviously, on 9.5s and higher, they use the gold label, and then obviously they have black label for the perfect. But they would use this white paper label. It really did not look good. They are getting rid of that and rolling out a silver label for everything. Nice change, small change, nothing crazy. Ideally, we would still like to see a redesigned Beckett slab. Doesn't need to be reworked from the ground up, but we still need better security features from that. I know Carlos talked about this in a video the other day. And we know it's something that they're working on, but we need better security features on the Beckett slab. It needs to be modernized. It needs to be updated. But in my opinion, they still have a decent amount of work to do to get things back in the right direction. So that's kind of the Beckett news. Like I said, nothing super crazy there. Go ahead and dive in the charts and graphs, the good old market movers. Before we dive in too deep, we're going to start off with football. I'll be curious for your thoughts and predictions on today's game if you're watching this Sunday morning. I think I said in Friday's video, I am going with the Eagles and I am going with the Bengals. Get your parlays in betting against me because I've been very mixed on football so far this NFL playoffs. Those are the two that I am going for. Am I right? Am I wrong? I'm sure you will comment and let me know later this evening on how those go. So we're not going to dive too much into singles for the football side as we kind of dive into our charts and graphs here. We talked a lot about that on Friday. We looked at all the various quarterbacks. I made the Josh Allen people mad. What are you going to do? But we kind of rolled through all the pricing for all the relevant quarterbacks there. I still think this next couple days with whoever wins tonight is going to be the best time to move their cards with short-term spikes. Like I said, typically after the Super Bowl, we'll see if things play out differently this year. Prices, some typically go down, whether they win or not. Burrow, I was thinking about this a little bit more. Burrow might be the exception to the rule because it's his first. So maybe people are a little more chasey that, oh, it's his first and he's going to get a lot more. I don't know. I'm very interested to see how things play out over the next couple weeks obviously depending on how the games play out as well, from the quarterback market perspective, specifically around Burrow and Mahomes, depending on what they do. So we'll see how things shake out. So what I wanted to do here is kind of dip in and look at wax from the last couple years, just to see if it has been creeping up as well. I started off with 2020 here. Obviously, getting a lot of love right now with Burrow and Hurts potentially both going to the Super Bowl together. And you still have the Herbert factor with 2020 sealed. So we're looking at Prism and Optic hobby boxes. I went with hobby boxes because they're the most consistent in regards to selling. The Megas, the Blasters, all this other stuff, there's a bunch of different versions of it now. It's just easier to look at the hobby boxes. Typically, they kind of dictate the overall wax market anyways. As they go up, they will drag the other stuff along with them. This is over the last 90 days, so basically dating back to early November. Prism up about 20%, Optic up about 14%. Optic sitting at just over $1,100, and Prism sitting dead even at $2K. So that's where the 2020 wax is at. 2021, with our newly crowned hobby savior, Trevor Lawrence, it has crept down a little bit over the last 90 days. Optic hobby down 20%, Prism hobby down 17%. Big price discrepancy there. Prism hobby 2021 going for under $1,000, whereas 2020 is going for $2,000. 2021 anchored by Trevor Lawrence. There are some other enticing names in there, but Trevor Lawrence is the anchor. 2020 previously was anchored by Burrow and Herbert, but now Hurts is kind of smashing through the window saying, hey, don't forget about me if he ends up going to a Super Bowl. But worst case, just being in the NFC Championship game on the best team is going to give that wax a little bit more juice, because now there's 3 quarterbacks to chase in there, along with some other stuff too. But 2021 has crept down a little bit over the last couple of weeks. Next up, I wanted to look at 2018, as the shine has really kept coming off this class before, and keep this in mind, everybody. 2018 was the golden class. You had Baker, you had Darnold, you had Allen, you had Lamar. People loved 2018 over the last few years. And now the shine continues to come off these guys. Obviously, Darnold, trash can. Baker Mayfield, rip, trash can. Lamar Jackson, intriguing, but his stuff has come way down from where it was. A little uncertainty there. Will he switch teams? Will he be back with Baltimore? We don't really know. And now things have, I don't necessarily think this. I think Josh Allen is still really good. Don't get me wrong. But the shine is coming off of Josh Allen a little bit after kind of failing to get to that Super Bowl, not living up to the lofty expectations placed on him, justifiably so or not. But we are now seeing 2018 wax start to take a hit because of this. And over the last, I went 180 days back on this, because you need a little bit bigger sample size, because 2018 wax just does not sell as often. 2018 Prism is now down to 1.5K. Optic is right at 1,000. So 2020 Prism hobby boxes have now surpassed 2018. As 2018 has dipped, 2020 has risen, and may have switched places. So it's just kind of intriguing to see 2018 slip a little bit here. You know, we all think wax just continues to go up forever, but there is a lot from what happens on the field that does drive these prices. And you can really see it tail off here as Allen got eliminated, took another big drop, but it had been trending down for a little bit, probably because it lost kind of Lamar as a feature. Now, obviously, Lamar's still really good. He still has a decent career ahead of him. A lot could happen there. Same with Josh Allen. Josh Allen could go on and win 3 Super Bowls, and this could completely flip around. But this just goes to show you this, plus kind of what we talked about in Friday's video. If you missed that one, go back and check it out. The market is a very finicky place and will turn on you on a dime if you do not live up to the expectations that it places upon you. And then people will just fire sell the stuff, and it quickly becomes a race to the bottom. So that's kind of our little football chat for this. We'll see what happens today. I am excited to watch today's games. Touch on baseball really quickly. I just kind of pulled out a couple names that I saw kept creeping up over the last little bit. This is over the last 60 days on this one. Jeremy Pena. His Bowman getting a little bit of love over the last 60. His refractor auto is up 30% in a PSA 10. The base PSA 10's basically stayed flat. PSA 9's up about 20%. And then his PSA 9 refractor is up about 15%. Now, the PSA 10 only being up a little bit is probably because one has not sold in a couple of weeks, so do keep that in mind. But you could see really over the last, most of this action has kind of happened in the last 7 to 14 days. You could see these upward swings here as we move into the beginning of January, as people are definitely starting to focus more on baseball. You're seeing it across the board. Even if prices necessarily aren't moving, liquidity is definitely picking up. A lot more people are asking about it. I'm getting, I have some like random first Bowman prospects from various grading submissions. I've noticed I haven't gotten offers on anything, but the number of views and watchers on that stuff has dramatically increased over the last couple weeks. Those are the things that I'm starting to notice. J-Rod, this is more just of a check-in to kind of see what his prices are doing over the last 60. These are his first Bowman autos. PSA 10, this is just the base, not the refractor. PSA 10 is up a little bit, up 27%. The PSA 9, one has not sold forever. It's been almost a month. So that's basically been flat. The BGS 9.5 is up slightly with a 5% increase. So you can see his stuff creeping up a little bit. I still kind of want to do a deep dive on Julio rookies, but still waiting for some more to come to market and sales to kind of flush themselves out. But I am kind of curious on doing a little bit of a deep dive into J-Rod rookies, non-first Bowman rookies. Next up, Ohtani. His stuff continues to pick up steam. Once again, we kind of see on the old charts and graphs things kind of lifting up towards the end of January here. I just picked a bunch of his random Topps Chrome refractors, and then I threw his Sapphire in there to kind of touch on the higher end. But his X-Fractor's up 30%. The Sapphire's up 15%. His just regular base refractor is up 15%. And his Prism refractor is up 20%. A lot of chatter about Ohtani lately in some of the baseball circles that I follow in. He is starting to garner a lot of attention and interest on the card side of things. Another one, we talked about him not too long ago either. His stuff continues to slowly tick up, and that is Acuna. Coming off the injury, obviously had a bad year last year. I shouldn't say a bad year. He had a fine year, but you could tell that the knee was still bothering him. He did not play up to his expectations. We'll see what this season has in store for him, but his prices, people are starting to speculate as well. You're seeing his stuff creep up across the board. More action on his auctions. Don't say that 5 times fast. And you can see his prices start to tick. Refractor up 20%. SP, the bat down, up 20%. Prism refractor down slightly. And then the X-Fractor also up about 25%. One of those is not sold for a hot minute. So do keep that in mind. His autos as well have crept up. I just didn't pull them on this individual chart. Flipping over to basketball really quick, and then we'll wrap up. Try to keep this one a little bit shorter. Rui Hachimura. Oh, golden boy of the hobby boom. People love this guy back in the day. Chasing him. I sold a lot of his stuff, I know, for some ungodly prices, like 50, 60, 70 bucks for Optic Hollow Raws. I remember when I would rip him out of packs and then sell them on eBay back in the peak craziness. His stuff has obviously come way down. He didn't even play last season, I believe. But he got traded to the Lakers. And as soon as he got traded to the Lakers, his stuff all spiked up. I mean, we're not talking huge value here. And people are probably still taking baths on this stuff unless you bought at the absolute bottom. But, I mean, just across the board, his stuff just jumped. Prism PSA 10 silvers from 50 bucks to 100 bucks. This is all within the last 14 days, and most of it's really been in the last 5 days. 100% increase. PSA Donruss Infinite up 420%. I just did this by dollar value change. So you can see not huge numbers, but massive percentages because his stuff was going for nothing. Absolutely nothing. So you can still make a killing on the low end if you speculate on the right guys. Just luck that he got traded, and then it happened to be not so much luck that he got traded. I think you could have probably pieced together that one. But the fact that it was the Lakers is really what caused pretty much 95% of this, is the fact that he's going to the Lakers. We'll see how he does. We will see how he does. Lakers have been a little spicy lately. Speaking of the Lakers, LeBron. He's getting extremely close to the all-time scoring title. His stuff kind of seems like it may have cratered around Christmas time. This is going back 30 days. I have noticed his cards have slowly started to creep back up again. Looking at a couple of his different rookies here, we have his Bowman Rookies and Stars, PSA 10. That's up 40% in the last month. The paper-based tops, the white suit, not a fan of this card personally, up 10%. And then his Topps Chrome PSA 10 is up 30%. That got all the way down to under 6K for a PSA 10, is where that one kind of bottomed out at the time being. And then the Rookies and Stars non-Chrome version, that one's actually down slightly at 13% in the red. But LeBron stuff does seem to be picking up a little bit. I don't know if it's all interest around the scoring title. I'm guessing that's driving some eyeballs, or if it's just people are like, hey, this is LeBron. His stuff has gotten too cheap. It's time to speculate again. Or it's time to dive back in and pick up some of his stuff. Speculate's not really the right word because it's LeBron. I don't think people are still trying to fall into the, if I buy the super cheap, when he breaks the scoring record, I will be able to make a bunch of money on this. It will be intriguing to see if, when he does break the record, I do wonder if a bunch of inventory hits the market and pulls his prices back again. You know how this goes. People wait for the event, and then they all list their cards for sale all at the same time. Supply outweighs demand, and then the prices pull back. I'll be very curious to see what happens when LeBron breaks that record, if the same thing doesn't happen there. I've heard a lot of chatter at shows and stuff lately and online about, oh yeah, LeBron's going to break that record. We'll be able to sell this stuff real easy. Careful. Time and time again, we talked about it earlier with the Super Bowl stuff, you're better to sell right before the event than after the event, even if the event turns out positive. Take advantage of the hype cycle going in, not on the way out. We'll see if LeBron follows the same pattern or not. That's all I got for you boys and girls today. We will catch you on the next one. No idea what this week's videos are. The last couple of weeks, I've been a little bit ahead on content. This week, not so much. So I'm not sure what we're going to talk about. We'll see. Whatever pops into the old noggin. If there's something you'd like to see me discuss, talk about, video topic idea, feel free to leave it in the comments down below. If something strikes me, you never know what could happen. With that being said, you boys and girls have a good championship AFC, NFC Sunday. Enjoy the games. Talk to you on the next one. Peace.